Brooke Caldwell stood beside her father's grave on a cold October afternoon, while 47 family members watched the casket slowly descend into the ground. The mechanical sound of the lowering device filled the cemetery with an unnatural hum, and just as everyone prepared to say their final goodbye to Sterling Caldwell, Vivian, Brooke's stepmother, stepped forward in her expensive black suit and shattered the silence. Pointing directly at Brooke, she announced that everyone deserved to know the truth. Her voice cut through the cold air like a knife as she declared that Brooke had been living a lie for 32 years because Sterling was not her biological father. Shock spread through the crowd. Relatives gasped, prayers stopped, and several family members stared at Brooke in disbelief. Vivian produced medical records showing that Sterling's blood type was O negative, while Brooke's was AB positive, claiming this made it genetically impossible for him to be her father. Standing beside her was Dexter, Vivian's son, whose smug expression suggested he had waited for this moment. He hinted that Brooke no longer belonged to the family and mentioned lawyers already discussing Sterling's estate. Brooke felt the ground disappear beneath her feet. Sterling had been her father in every way that mattered. He had taught her to ride a bicycle, supported her dream of becoming a teacher, called her every Sunday evening, and proudly introduced her to everyone as his daughter. Yet at his own funeral, his wife was attempting to erase Brooke from his life forever. Several relatives condemned Vivian's behavior, especially Aunt Greta, who could not believe such accusations were being made beside a freshly dug grave. At that moment, Franklin Harwell, Sterling's longtime lawyer and closest friend, stepped forward carrying his briefcase. Calmly, he explained that Sterling had expected exactly this situation. 6 months earlier, he had left specific instructions along with a sealed envelope and recorded testimony to be used if Vivian ever questioned Brooke's place in the family. The envelope carried Sterling's own handwriting. "My daughter Brooke is my greatest achievement." Hearing those words nearly broke Brooke, yet they also gave her strength. Vivian suddenly lost her confidence as Mr. Harwell explained that Sterling had known about her plans, her medical evidence, and even her intentions concerning the inheritance. When Brooke asked for the letter to be read aloud, Vivian suddenly wanted the matter handled privately, but Aunt Greta reminded her that she had already chosen to make the accusation public. Before Mr. Harwell read the letter, Brooke remembered the father who had raised her. Sterling Caldwell had built his first hardware store with only a small loan and an unwavering belief that honesty and hard work could solve nearly any problem. By the time Brooke was born, he owned several successful stores, and after Brooke's mother Angela died from cancer when Brooke was only 7 years old, father and daughter became inseparable. Their lives were filled with Saturday mornings spent visiting the stores, counting inventory, talking to employees, and sharing family stories. Sterling always introduced Brooke proudly as his daughter and constantly encouraged her dream of becoming a teacher. For 15 years, they built a life based entirely on love, loyalty, and trust. When Vivian entered their lives, everything gradually changed. She appeared charming and sophisticated, bringing with her teenage son Dexter and stories of hardship and divorce. Sterling believed she brought happiness and stability, so Brooke tried to accept her. Yet subtle changes began appearing throughout the house. Pictures of Brooke's mother became less visible, family traditions changed, and Brooke slowly found herself excluded from important moments. Vivian encouraged Dexter to spend time with Sterling while Brooke was pushed aside. Dexter openly spoke about carrying on the Caldwell name and inheriting the family business. Although he acted respectful around Sterling, his behavior toward Brooke was often cold and calculating. Despite these tensions, Sterling never abandoned his daughter. He continued their weekly phone calls, preserved her childhood bedroom, and kept her photographs displayed prominently in his office. Several weeks before his death, Sterling invited Brooke to dinner while Vivian and Dexter were away. He prepared her mother's favorite pot roast and spoke to her seriously. He warned her that difficult things might happen after his death and insisted that no matter what anyone said, she would always be his daughter. He assured her that Mr. Harwell possessed everything needed to protect her and told her that love, not blood, created family. 4 days later, Sterling died suddenly from a heart attack. His funeral attracted employees, friends, and community members whose lives he had touched. Brooke spoke lovingly about her father's kindness and generosity, while Vivian remained distant. As Mr. Harwell finally opened the sealed letter, Everyone gathered around to hear Sterling's own words written months earlier, because he already knew exactly what his wife intended to do after his death. The letter revealed truths that changed everything. Sterling explained that he had known for 32 years that Brooke was not his biological child. Early in their marriage, Brooke's mother had confessed the truth to him, terrified that he might leave. Instead, Sterling chose to remain and raise Brooke as his own daughter from that moment forward. He wrote that he had never considered her anything other than his child, and that love had always mattered more than biology. Knowing Vivian might someday use this secret against Brooke, he had legally protected her decades earlier by signing official paternity documents that were properly witnessed, notarized, and filed with the court. He also established a trust 6 months before his death to ensure that the hardware stores would remain under Brooke's control and beyond Vivian's reach. Vivian would receive only what had been promised through their prenuptial agreement, including the house and financial settlement, while Dexter would inherit nothing further. Sterling's final words addressed Brooke directly. He told her that she was his greatest achievement, greater than the stores or his business success. He reminded her that she was the brave little girl who learned to ride a bicycle in the driveway and grew into a teacher who made him proud every day. He warned her that Vivian would likely choose her most vulnerable moment to attack, which is why he wanted his voice heard one final time. The cemetery fell silent after Mr. Harwell finished reading. Family members moved toward Brooke, offering support and comfort, while Vivian stood speechless with her medical records hanging uselessly at her side. Dexter's confidence disappeared completely. Mr. Harwell calmly advised Vivian to seek legal counsel, making it clear that Sterling had anticipated every move she might make. Without another word, Vivian and Dexter left the cemetery, their carefully planned attack destroyed by the man they had underestimated. Later, as the crowd dispersed and autumn leaves drifted through the air, Mr. Harwell told Brooke that Sterling had spoken proudly about her during every meeting and every conversation. Standing beside her father's headstone, Brooke finally understood that family is created by choice, devotion, and unconditional love. Sterling Caldwell had chosen her every day of her life, and no accusation could ever change that truth. Touching the cold stone, Brooke promised her father that she would protect his legacy, care for the stores, and never allow anyone to convince her that she did not belong, because she always had and always would.